Welcome to the first Valley of the Suns debate podcast for January of 2017. I'm Kory Miller, and joining me in the debate today is site expert Adam Maynes. In this month's debate, we're going to be looking at Jason Kidd versus Kevin Johnson. Who was better, both as a Phoenix Suns player and as a whole for their careers? Adam, what side do you take in this argument?
Oh, I am taking Kevin Johnson, the mayor. KJ, all-time favorite player. He's one of the best point guards in NBA history. This is one of the guys that, even in the 80s and 90s, with guys like Michael Jordan, with guys like Magic Johnson, Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, John Stockton, Karl Malone, Gary Payton, on and on and on and on, in terms of just great names, you would want on your team. He would never be a player that you'd ever want to leave off. He only made 3 All-Stars, which is a travesty and a sham and a mockery. Which really just plays into the NBA All-Star situation, just kind of be a travesty, sham, and a mockery as it is, but that's a different topic for another day. And it was just one of the most all-around best offensive point guards of all time. And to put that into even a little bit more perspective in terms of, okay, what does that mean? One of the best all-time point guards. His offensive rating of all NBA players was the 11th all time. Now, we're just talking offensive rating. Did he score the most points? No. Did he, have the most assists? No. But the 11th all-time offensive rating at 118.09. By the way, number 10 all-time, Steve Nash. Where's Jason Kidd on this list? Well, he's not in the top 250. Let me just throw up a few other names of Phoenix Suns players that are above Jason Kidd, wherever he is. Tyson Chandler, Jeff Hornacek, Larry Nance, AC Green, Mario Elie has a better offensive rating than Jason Kidd.
Well,
let
me stop you right there, because
rock and roll.
That's only one metric, so we can't look at that. And in full disclosure, I was a huge KJ fan when I was a kid. He was my favorite player. For my 5th birthday, I got a KJ purple sunburst jersey, and I wore it everywhere. So I loved KJ growing up. However, with that said, you just can't say with a straight face that KJ is better than Jason Kidd.
Oh, I'm saying it, baby.
You can make an argument that he was a better offensive player. Jason Kidd was a better three-point shooter. KJ only had 2 seasons where he shot over 22% from 3. I mean, he couldn't shoot the 3 until really late in his career. Kidd wasn't a great three-point shooter, but he was decent. Kidd was a walking triple-double. He was all-defensive team, where KJ never made all-defensive team. Both as a Suns player and as a whole for his career, I don't think there's even an argument here. I think you have to give it to Kidd. KJ was great, and you can make the argument KJ means more to the franchise, but as an overall player, I think it's a no-brainer. Kidd was better.
All right, well, let's look at it from this perspective. Kevin Johnson's body broke down. By the time he was 31, which is 2 years younger than I am now, he had pretty much, he was forced to retire. He just wasn't, his heart wasn't in it anymore. So what I did is I went back and I looked at prime years, and I took their statistics. If you go to basketballreference.com, you can do this, and it's one of my favorite things to do when I have this kind of discussion in my head. And I looked at both players' stats from the ages of 22 to 30. 30 was the last kind of prime year in KJ's career. Kidd obviously went on, and I'm looking at stats real quick. He played till he was 39. So just career stats in general just aren't even almost fair to use. But if you just look at those 8 or 9 prime years right there, Kevin Johnson averaged 19.8 points. Kidd, 15.2. Jason Kidd averaged 9.6 assists. KJ averaged 10. Yes, Kidd's got the nod and rebound 6.5 to 3.4. But and it's a great metric. I'm not going to be able to dispute that. KJ was a better free throw shooter. He shot 5% better, 83.9 to 78.9. He had a better effective field goal percentage, 50.6 to 44.8. He was a better 2-point shooter, 50.8 to 43.1. Just statistically, scoring and assists, he was a better player. Now, Jason Kidd was considered a defensive player. He made all those defensive teams. I can't take that away. He averaged 2.1 steals per game in this period. KJ averaged 1.6. He only averaged a half a steal less. So it's not like KJ wasn't getting any assists. He was a decent defensive player. And remember, KJ's all-time career high steals in one game was 10.
Yeah,
it was against Washington in '94.
But it's hard. You can't extrapolate one game to a career.
No, but I use that as proof that he was a decent defensive player. He was in an era with Gary Payton. The glove was just insurmountable in terms of defensive prowess. I mean, he really just, it was almost unfair to compare in eras.
Maybe he was decent defensively, but he didn't make any all-defense teams where Kidd made 4-time all-defensive first team, 5-team all-defensive second team, and was really one of the better defensive point guards of his era and maybe in the history of the league. My other big thing with KJ is he was never very healthy. After 92, 93, or sorry, after 91, 92, he didn't play in over 70 games per season and actually had multiple seasons where he was under 50 games per season. So KJ was almost playing half seasons. And if you dive a little bit deeper into some of the other numbers, his rebounds were never as close to Kidd. Triple doubles were never as close to Kidd. Assists, KJ had a little bit of an edge, but the assist numbers are very close in terms of their kind of peak years, as you want to look at. Steals are closer than you would assume, but just as an on-ball defender and as an overall defensive player, Kidd was head and shoulders above KJ. And then as you extrapolate this to a career, I think the argument gets weaker for KJ. And again, a big argument is he was great in his prime in those 4 seasons from 88 to 92, but he wasn't able to stay healthy after that. And 4 great seasons just isn't enough to really be considered as a Hall of Famer. And I think Kidd's a no-brainer first ballot Hall of Famer.
Well, according to Basketball Reference, it's a 100% Hall of Famer, and KJ's a 19%. I just say BS. So you want to pick on KJ's 4 years, his prime years. His prime years were better than Kidd's. KJ's highest assist average was 12.2 back in 88-89. Then the subsequent year, 11.4, then 10.1, then 10.7. That's 4 years where he averaged double-digit assists.
Well, Kidd was at 10.8, 10.1, 9.8.
10.8 was his peak, though.
But if you look at the rebounding numbers, he's almost double the rebounding numbers for KJ. And then steals are higher. Points are a little bit lower, but as you mentioned earlier, Kidd was not the offensive player that KJ was.
Well, okay, but so you win games by scoring points. And granted, there's the defensive side where you win games.
I would argue that you win games by creating points.
Well, in which KJ created more assists. I mean, again, you look at 12.2. His career average, 9.1. His 12 seasons. Yep. Oh, yeah, his career average, 9.1, is 0.4 higher than Kidd's. I'm going to take 0.7. But again, longevity does play into it. Now, I cannot argue about KJ's injuries. I mean, yes, he was the injury bug, bit him a bunch of times. But if you look at still those statistics in his prime years, you can't. I mean, I would have loved to have continued to play until he was 39. That would have brought him to about 2005, 2006. He would have actually been back with Steve Nash and the 7 Seconds Left Suns that final year. Just kind of blowing it forward. I would have loved to have that kind of lengthy career. It just, his body wouldn't allow him. But the player that he was, the talent that he was on the court, is just undeniable. I mean, 22.5 points, 11.4 assists. I mean, boom. I mean, those are stats that I would take from any point guard today.
Right, but Kidd also did something where with the rebounding numbers, that was something no point guard had really done since Magic Johnson. You didn't have a point guard who ever rebounded the ball that well. And I want to go back to KJ couldn't shoot the three for as talented as an offensive player as he was. He didn't shoot above 22% from three-point range until 95, 96 when he was already injured and kind of done almost.
Sure.
So how would you counter that?
The era. Teams didn't shoot threes.
But it's not the amount of threes he's shooting, it's the percentage. He's shooting, I mean, he shot I'm just going down his numbers, 9%, 20%, 21%, 22%, 13%, 22%. In 92-93, the finals year, he shot 13% from three. I mean, that's atrocious.
Well, okay, but it's 13, what'd you say, 13% from three?
13% from three, yep.
Yeah, while shooting 8. He shot 8 three-pointers the entire year.
And he only made one. Well, fine, but they were not shooting threes, and that is the difference in eras. So to compare if I always go back in my mind, my favorite game of all time in Suns history was, if I recall, November 10th, 1990, Suns Denver Nuggets. KJ was on that team. Suns won 173 to 143. Mm-hmm. Do you know how many threes the Suns attempted by scoring 175 3 points? I don't.
5.
Wow.
5. They attempted 5 threes. So, and they still scored 173 points. So they weren't, the era, he just didn't shoot threes. So, I mean, I see that he shot 13%, but he only took 8 on the season. Mm-hmm. Later in his career, if you look at 96, 97, when he was 30 years old, he shot 44% from three.
Yeah.
He was averaging 2.9 attempts a game. I mean, that's
He
Jared
he had
Duggar.
to at that point because he wasn't able to do anything else because his body was falling apart.
He was averaging 20 points and 9.3 assists. So 20 points, 20.1 points, 9.3 assists, and shooting 40. But that's Steve Nash-esque. In fact, that's a little bit better in terms of the offensive production. It's better than Steve Nash. Although assists-wise, I believe I'd have to look. Nash's peak year, he reached 10 or 11 as well. So let me look at that. So, and then 97, 98 was the lockout shortened year. It was only 50 games. He started 12. By that point, I mean, he was already done. I mean, and he retired for a season and came back for those 6 games in 2000. But he was the better offensive player. He was the better passer. He was the better distributor. And I also did want to look at turnovers. They're very equal. It was 3.1 for KJ and 2.9 for Kidd. In the peak years, Kidd was 3.4 to KJ's 3.3. So, yeah, they were right there.
So, as another note, how would you defend KJ's performance in the 93 finals then, when he basically disappeared?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that he disappeared. He had a tough first 2 games. We went down 0-2 here in Phoenix. Everybody was shocked. I was devastated. I'm 9 years old, and I'm sitting there going, I want to win. He scored 11 points, scored 4 points in those 2 games, only had 2 assists and 6 assists. But then he came back. We had the great triple overtime game. He played 62 minutes. He set the all-time NBA record for most minutes played in an NBA Finals game. He scored 25 points, 9 assists. Then game 4 with that being 19 points, 4 assists, and 25 and 8, and then 19 and 10. He had a double-double in game 6, the most crucial game of the season, the series. So, I mean, he had those tough 2 games, but it was Michael Jordan. It was the NBA Finals. KJ had never been there. Granted, really on that roster, only Danny Ainge had been there, but they were relying on Barkley, and it was just tough. He had a tough 2 games. So, no, I can't explain that. But I would just like to say that in terms of statistics per game, playoffs in his career, he made the playoffs 11 times. KJ averaged 19.3 points, 8.7 assists. He also, in 96-97, averaged 2.6 steals. Fantastic numbers. You look at Jason Kidd averaged 12.9 points and 8 assists. So again, offensively, sure, he was dishing the ball out. And I will look at 2000-2001 in 4 games. He averaged 13.3 assists with 14.3 points. But just career-wise, he played in a lot more playoffs than KJ had a chance to. Again, longevity of his career, was insurmountable. He won a title with Dallas. But it's just career long, just did not keep up those stats.
Well,
and in terms of Suns playoff statistics, 12.6 points to 9.9 assists for Kidd. KJ was 19.3 to 8.9. Yep. I mean, it's just...
Some of those numbers are dragged down. If you look at Kidd's whole career in the playoffs, some of those numbers are dragged down because that last season of Kidd's career with the Knicks, he played 12 playoff games, didn't start any, averaged under a point. I mean, he literally wasn't doing much for the Knicks, so that drags the whole average down a bit.
Fair enough.
You're
so that's
right.
Why I pulled up then just the Suns stats. In 5 playoff seasons with the Suns, 12.6 points.
Yep.
That was Kidd. KJ was 19.9.
Kidd also had far fewer playoff chances because those teams weren't as good. If you look at when he was with the Nets, those first 2 seasons when they went to back-to-back finals, he averaged 19.6, 9.1 assists, 8.2 rebounds, and then the following year, 20.1 points, 8.2 assists, 7.7 rebounds. So almost averaged a triple-double in the playoffs, and that was making a run all the way to the finals. So I think we're going to have to agree to disagree, and I think this is a point where we probably want to get the listeners involved. And Adam, how can they do that?
Boy, oh boy, we're doing something exciting here. We have in the description, not on the YouTube page, but actually on our Valley of the Suns page, where this podcast will be originally posted. That'll be the home base. We have a poll where we would like you, the listeners, to vote. This will be open for 30 days. So that information will all be in there in the description again, when it starts and when it ends. I will be tweeting this out almost every day, probably every other day or so. I don't want to inundate everybody. And I'll also post this on Facebook a couple times. We're really excited about this. We really want you guys to get involved. Please, please, please don't just vote and leave. Leave a comment. Tell us what you think. Don't just click Kevin Johnson. Don't just, don't click Jason Kidd. Just click Kevin Johnson and then just kind of disappear. Leave a comment. Tell us why you picked KJ or why you picked Kidd. And then come back and follow it up and see who actually did win this debate throughout all of Valley of the Suns. Now, what is really cool about this debate is that we're going to be doing this monthly. So every 30 days, 30, 31, depending on the calendar. We're going to set up a debate, and then we will leave it open for the fans, for you guys to all come out and participate and vote and discuss. We will then, at the subsequent debate podcast, that is, we will announce the final results of the previous months, and then set up that next month's topic. We already have 2 or 3 set up, looking forward all the way through March, so we're really excited about these. If you have any ideas that you'd like to offer us, please either leave those in those comments or email us at votsons@gmail.com. And then, of course, please, you can tweet us. We're at Valley of the Suns, or at Valley of the Suns on Twitter. And then on Facebook, we are at Phoenix Suns Blog. So Facebook.com/Phoenix Suns Blog. Leave comments on our post. Leave comments, on these debates. Read our post. Leave comments there, and let's make this a very interactive page.
Yep. And for the next month's debate, I just wanted to add, we'll go through and read the comments and read emails. So if you as listeners think that we're completely off base with something that we said, let us know, and we'll read it on the next debate podcast.
Oh, and I can't wait.
All right. Well, thanks for being here today, Adam. This was a lot of fun. Looking forward to next month. And everyone, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in February.